Good evening, good evening, good evening. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Y'all know how we do. Y'all know how we do. You know how we do. It's Friday evening. Listen, this is Women's History Month. That's right, March is Women's History Month. And tonight we are celebrating the history, the power, the strength, the resolve of Black women. That's right, and really all women, just women, period. But we're celebrating particularly the strength of Black women. So come on and get in here. Come on, get in here, get in here, get in here, get in here. Thank y'all for being here. I love you. I'm gonna take a minute and say hey to all my people. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody here came through a woman. Am I talking good? Hey, Esanan, what's going on, sis? How you doing? What's going on, Baba Bakari? What's up? My great son there. Antoinette Osler, how you doing? How you doing? Yes, Mama Kariamu, love you, love you, love you. Amazing woman. Ira Ife Oluwa Tofa Uti. Come on, Jaribu Tofa Uti. Love you, love you, love you. Yes, yes, yes. Abrahead, how you doing? Angela Robinson, what's up? What's up? Winifred Brown, my sister, I love you, I love you. I was just talking about you yesterday. Gina Jones, how you doing? How you doing? Chioma, what's up? It's my grandson. What's going on? The great Johnny Nafala. Come on, jump on in here, y'all. Cindy Sobel, what's happening? What's going on? Yes. Kyle Stevenson, hey. Obata Kufanyatano, what's up, baby? Hey. Yes. Charlotte Williams. You have to know Charlotte. You've got to know Charlotte, one of the most powerful women in Chattanooga right now, going down. Love her. Polly, how you doing? How you doing? Y'all jump on in here with me. Yes, I appreciate you all. It's right at 6:30. Right at 6:30. The power, the privilege of being a woman. Now, I'm not a woman. So y'all have to know we've got a guest tonight. You have to know we have a guest tonight. I'm not a woman, but I love women. I love womenness. I love womanhood. I love the essence of women. And I don't mean in some stereotypical way. I don't mean it that way. I don't mean, I love a woman's ability to pleasure men, or I love a woman's body in some sensual kind of way. I'm saying I love the fact that women exist. Yes, women carry a different being, a different kind of life force. And it's a beautiful, marvelous thing. I was raised by women and some men around, and the difference, it covered me. There were days women covered me when men wasn't studying me. Hey, listen, I'm trying not to get wound up. Larissa, I'm trying my best. Trying my best not to get wound up. Listen. Kyle Fox, how you doing? What's going on? What's going on, Uizeye? Mother Mitty, what's going on? How you doing? Yes. Belinda Harris, what's going on? Come on in here, saints of God. Gather up. All of us owe our debt to a womb. Ooh. My God. We owe our debt to a womb. My God. If the mother wasn't excellent thereafter, the womb was enough. Oh, God. Lord have mercy. Kenneth Hammond, what's happening, baby? How you doing? Oh, my God. Darius, what's going on? Yes. How's it going? My God, listen. I'm trying my best not to slide over into this Holy Ghost, but I'm right at the edge, y'all. I really am at the edge. I'm at the edge. Because when I think about what Black women have done and the price Black women have paid differently, right? Differently. The price Black women have paid differently than Black men. I didn't say better or worse. I said differently. That difference makes the difference. Oh my God. There were days my grandmother cooked fried pies because I liked it. Somebody's gonna get that one day. Some of y'all understand these fried pies. There were days my grandmother made fried pies because I liked it. She honored me. She honored me in my difference. There are ways in which women have been more fluid in terms of expressing love and having love. Not all women, we know that, not all, but there have been some, and the difference it has made is absolutely mind-boggling. Absolutely. That's why listen, to call God a man is really an insult. Oh, it's enough. To call God a man is an insult because the Godhead, the God being, must be all man and all woman. If not, it is incomplete. It is incomplete. So I want to press us to stop calling God he. I go to a church called Rise Community Church, where our pastor, the Reverend, the Dr. Karyamu Maisha Handy, has taught us that the language means everything in terms of the power you get. See, when you call God he, all you summon is God's maleness and God's male power. But when you call God God, when you let God be, if you will, androgynous, that's right. When you let God be the fullness of all human possibility, that's what you get in return. Woo, Lenise Little. Listen, Lenise Littleton, y'all better stop playing with me this evening. Y'all better stop playing with me. I'm about to come through here. I'm about to come through here. I'm about to come through here. Listen, we've got to let God be God instead of trying to make God into us. Huh? Let God be God. Man, woman, boy, girl, let God be God. Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Stop making God into the limitations of a man or even a male. Come on, I'm talking good to somebody. We need a God who is all things to all people. And that's what we're here to do tonight. We're here to celebrate women, right? But in celebrating women, right? Stay with me now. Stay with me now. In celebrating women, it has nothing to do with an insult to maleness. I had to say that for the men who are still struggling, right? Most of us know that it's not even necessary to say that. But there are a few men who think that celebrating women is a degradation to manhood. That's immature. That's immature, and it's not true. Womanism seeks to set everybody free, not just women. Come, I know I'm talking good. Womanism says the entire Black family needs to be liberated, everybody. And that's what we're seeking. And you know what? Thank you, women, for conceiving it. Y'all about to take me up out of here. Y'all about to take me up out of here. Listen, we're going to pour a libation this evening. That's right. We're going to pour a libation. And this is a libation to Black women. Woo! Help me, oh God. A libation to Black women. Fannie Lou Hamer. Ashe. Ella Fitzgerald. Ashe. Mary McLeod Bethune. Ashe. Sarah Vaughan. Ashe. Coretta Scott King. Ashe. Lorraine Hansberry. Ashe. Phyllis Wheatley. Ashe. Sonia Sanchez. Woo! Ashe. Toni Morrison. Ashe. Wilma Rudolph. Ashe. Lord have mercy. Assata Shakur. Ashe. Harriet Tubman. Ashe. Barbara Jordan. Woo! Ashe. Come on, y'all. June Jordan. Ashe. Ruby Bridges. Ashe. Audrey Lorde. Ashe. Marie Evans. Ashe. Shirley Chisholm. Hey. Ashe. Octavia Butler. Ashe. Mary Church Terrell. Ashe. Septima Clark. Ashe. Maya Angelou. Ashe. Cicely Tyson. Hey. Ashe. Dorothy Height. Hey. Ancestors, come on up in here. Ashe. Flo Kennedy. Ashe. Sojourner Truth. Hey. Ashe. Billie Holiday. Come on, y'all. Ashe. Zora Neale Hurston. Ashe. Ann Petrie. Ashe. Come on, y'all. Gwendolyn Brooks. I'm talking good. Oh, hey. Bessie Coleman. I'm calling the roll. Lena Horne. Ashe. Hattie McDaniel. Ashe. Hey. Daisy Bates. I'm calling the roll. Come on. Ella Baker. Come on, y'all. Hey. Katherine Johnson. Hey. Lay God. Madam C.J. Walker. Come on, come on. Gail Jones. Yeah. Josephine Baker. Ashe, Ashe. Mahalia Jackson. Come on, come on. Dorothy Love Coates. Ashe, Ashe. Breonna Taylor. Come on, Ashe. Sandra Bland. Ashe. Marian Anderson. Come on, come on. Althea Gibson. I'm talking to somebody. Rosa Parks. Come on, come on. Augusta Savage. Yay. Amrita Myers. Ashe. Ida B. Wells. Marsha P. Johnson. Oh my God. Rosetta Tharpe. Yes. Claudette Colvin. Come on, somebody. Aunt Jemima. Come. Hey! God have mercy on my soul on this evening. My God, somebody help me. Florence Griffith Joyner. Absolutely. Hey, God Almighty. To every grandmother, to every great grandmother, to every mother, to every auntie, come on somebody, to every cousin, to every niece, to every sister, to every daughter who dreamed of a world where women would not be liberated, would not be oppressed, who dreamed of a world where their own oppression was as important as racial oppression. Ooh, Ashe. Oh. Ooh, God, help me, oh God, tonight. Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, have mercy on me. Our guest is here. Our guest is here and waiting. I usually do Proverbs, and I'm going to do it for you, but I have to tell you something this evening. I want everybody to listen to me carefully. When I started hunting for Proverbs about women, you know what I discovered? Too many of those Proverbs were concerned with a woman's physicalness, her physical being. Too many of those Proverbs were concerned with a woman's silence. That's right. All over the world, including Africa. That's right. Some folks are going to like this evening. Some people are not going to, but I'm going to walk in this truth. There were too many Proverbs that talked about a woman being beautiful like a flower. Too many Proverbs that spoke of things like, if a woman is silent, there's peace in the house. What? Too many Proverbs spoke of a woman's subordination as part of the beauty and the health in a community. And I'm not reading that. That's right. I believe my ancestors are calling upon me, even as a Black man, to lift that, to say, no. We don't only want to talk about women or talk about women most in terms of their physicality. No, that's not what we want to do, and that's not what we're going to do. So what I did tonight was I created a few Proverbs. I found a few, but I created a few also that celebrate the existence of womanness, not a woman's performance. Is somebody walking with me in the Holy Ghost? Oh, God, help me on this evening. And I'm going to give these Proverbs to you right here. Black women are like a good cup of coffee. Black, strong, and sweet. Tell me it ain't good. Tell me that ain't good. Come on. Next proverb. A woman armed with ancestral wisdom is an unstoppable force. A woman armed with ancestral wisdom is an unstoppable force. Wow. What power. Now, I did find this next proverb and I liked it. Men make houses, women make homes. Ooh, God. Men make houses, women make homes. That's powerful. Lord, have mercy. Here's the next one. Everyone owes a debt to a woman. Everyone owes a debt to a woman. Oh my God. Somebody stay with me. Are y'all with me this evening? Are y'all with me? Come on. Next one. And I constructed this one. Women are expected to be holy. Women are expected to be holy. Men have the option. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Baby, this one is for all women all over the world. The question is not who is going to let me. The question is not who is going to let me. The question is who is going to stop me. The question is not who's going to let me. The question is who is going to stop me. Ooh, God have mercy. Listen, y'all press share so we can get this out to everybody in the universe. If y'all don't mind, take a second and just press share so we can get this out to the universe. Yes, 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 yes. Hey, Umi Karyamu, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yes, Cousin Denise, how you doing, sister? Love you. Yes. The next one is this. A womanist doesn't hate men. She wants their transformation. A womanist doesn't hate men. She wants their transformation. Woo! I don't know why this thing is all over me. Come on, Kaya. Come on, Kaya. Come on. Y'all stay with me now. Stay with me. Sisters and brothers, stay with me. Next proverb. Men are taught to apologize for their weaknesses. Women for their strengths. Men are taught to apologize for their weaknesses. Women for their strengths. Have mercy, oh God, on this evening. Have mercy, oh God, on this evening. And the last proverb. The most beautiful woman is the one who excites herself first. The most beautiful woman is the one who excites herself first. Wow. 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 Let me stop for a minute and be very clear and admit, I do not know and I do not carry the weight of being a woman in this patriarchal American society. I do not know that. I have benefited from Black women who did it. I have in my life is built upon the backs of Black women who did it. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I had Black women teachers. I had Black women Sunday school instructors. I had Black women choir directors. I had an auntie, my daddy's sister, whom I adored. I had a grandmother who stood up for me, who stood in front of me. I had a grandmother who buttressed herself around me so folks would not bother me. And so folks would literally not hurt and harm me. God Almighty, God Almighty, God Almighty. And I am grateful. I am grateful and I am thankful. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So listen, we have a special guest coming right now who is an amazing, 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 amazing Black woman. An amazing Black woman. And this Black woman teaches at a place called Spelman College. She's assistant professor at a place called Spelman College. And she teaches women's studies and she studies women and she's a woman herself. And she teaches the power and the strength and the spiritual essence of what it means to be a woman. A brilliant, 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 beautiful, spiritually endowed sister all the way from New York and Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for none other than Dr. Shania Cordes. Oh,
Black.
How you doing?
It's such an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, having you is nothing but my privilege. It's nothing but my privilege. No, seriously. I've known you for we've known each other probably for 10 or 15 years now. And I'm so grateful for who you are. I'm grateful for the strength of your spirit. I'm grateful for the power of your spirit. I'm grateful for who you are. I'm grateful for what you represent. I'm grateful that you don't back down when it comes time to fight for righteousness. You're just an awesome, awesome folks. We're live streaming through Facebook, so you might want to take 10 seconds and just say hello to all the folks. In fact, right now, there are about 75, who knows, 100 people on here watching us. So if you want to say, hey.
Well, thank y'all. I'm just happy that y'all are here to listen to this joyous conversation that we're about to have. I'm super honored, super privileged to be in conversation with you. I just think it's going to be fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And thank you. And can I tell you that you look amazing? That hat,
You knew I had to try to find some latent situation going on in here a little bit. So, it's working. It's working.
It's working. It's awesome. It's fantastic. It's really, really, really awesome. So where I'd like to start is help all of us know exactly what you do at Spelman, what you teach, what you study concerning women.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, I'm an assistant professor at Spelman. I'm in the Department of Anthropology. My work actually sits at the intersection of Black studies and Native American and Indigenous studies. And
Mm,
so much of my work is really about the conversations of, the distinct experiences of Black and Native Indigenous communities, but also the shared experiences. And so I come at it from a Black and Indigenous feminist perspective. So
gotcha.
looking at questions of power,
Yes.
right? Of
Yes.
gender relations, of how women are situated not only in relationship to men, but in relationship to one another, right?
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
in relationship again to state, right?
Yes. Yes.
So part of my work is looking at the experiences of violence, that Black, Indigenous women experience, and what's so specific about what that violence does for the state,
Mm,
right?
mm.
What's so specific about what that does for the US empire, right?
Wow. Wow.
So unpacking these kinds of entanglements between our communities has been really central for me.
Absolutely. You brought something up, and forgive me, I'm just going to kind of let this generically flow.
Mhm.
Um, speak to us a minute about some of the violence that's committed against women that people might not understand as traditional violence, that might not be uh, um, physical accosting, right? But it's certainly acts or of violence committed against women.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the times, like you just said, we confine violence to physicality, right?
Mm,
Of
hmm.
someone doing something to someone's body, right?
Right.
And that's definitely it, but it's much broader, right? It's in the symbolic space. It's in the space of how we imagine what we can do to particular bodies, right? We imagine what we can do to Black women's bodies, right?
Mm, hmm.
Always already available,
That's right.
hypersexual,
That's right.
of not being worthy of protection or care. And similarly, and when I say we, I'm talking about the kind of order of things, right? The way that they have been portrayed, the way that they have been projected, is similar to the experiences that Native Indigenous women have, right? Of being um, deemed a body that is always for the taking.
Wow.
And so when you have this kind of symbolic imaginary of what you can do to particular groups of people, it basically allows you to do that with impunity, right?
Hmm.
It allows you to do that with any type of repercussion, accountability, consequence, what have you. And it's
That's it.
sanctioned and
That's it.
supported,
That's
right?
it.
So it creates its own type of reinforcement, for lack of
Hmm.
a better word, And
Absolutely.
so it is the physical, but it's deeply symbolic.
Absolutely. And how do you understand that the the violence, the use of women's bodies is actually profitable, right?
Oh gosh, Black. Ugh. This you trying to go deep.
To
So
this society.
it is that deep. When we think about the experience of enslaved African women under
Mm,
conditions of slavery, to be made property, to be made into objects, that is such a fundamental rupture, right? Not just about we have these women who are laboring, who are working on plantations, but these are bodies that are supposed to be reproducing enslaved people.
that's right.
And so those people who are enslaved reproduce more slaves in the purpose of capitalism, right? In the purpose of building up, this US settler colonial state, right? This
Wow.
kind of imperial power.
That's
And
right.
what I always try to think about, not just with my students and my work, is how do we connect those things, right? How do we connect the things that we seemingly think are separate, that we seemingly think are so completely unrelated, right, that we can't have conversations. But I feel like, when we look at the experiences again of Black women, we look at the experiences of Native women, of those who have gone through genocide and conquest, have had their land stolen and continue to
Yes.
be stolen as an ongoing type of process.
Right.
it's like, you can then begin to see how those are deeply entangled.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing you just made me think of, I'm doing this work on the rape and sexual assault of Black men during enslavement, during the antebellum years. And one thing you just made me think of is I've wondered over the years why historians, cultural historians, et cetera, have not really explored that topic, right? I'm certainly not the one to create the topic, right? This notion of the sexual violation of Black men has always been in the literature, right? But I wonder why men, scholars, whomever, have not really explored that topic. And something you just said gives me a little hint, right? So we're going out in the deep water, and that is, I wonder if people have not touched this topic because a man's body is not supposed to be violable.
Woo! That's it.
But we can understand a woman's body as being a violated space because it's female. Right. But people cannot imagine and don't want to imagine and don't want to talk about the possibility that a man's body can be violated because because the object of somebody else's violation is supposed to be feminine.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is patriarchy right here, 101.
Wow.
This is it right here, right? The ideas of what masculinity is and what masculine power means.
Wow.
That you can't be violated, right? That you're not the object of violence, even though we know that's not true.
Right.
Even though we know, we can go back and look at the archive, we could look at the experiences of Black men, not just historically, but contemporarily, to see that is actually an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Beyond the fact that talking about sexual violence is deeply taboo.
Right. That's right. That's right.
It's deeply taboo to talk about those things in public spaces.
Right. Right. And even, even in queer spaces, it's interesting how patriarchy gets reified even in queer spaces.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
even this thing, that the bottom is more feminine. Right. It's a patriarchal construct. Right. Or that in a relationship between two women, somebody's got to be a stud. Right. It seems like our imaginations are more enslaved than our bodies.
So, this kind of, what can we imagine? It's really difficult under patriarchy. It's really difficult under a heteronormative structure. We come to think that the natural order of sex and gender relationships is between a quote unquote man and a woman, right?
Right.
That man and that woman have sex and they reproduce heterosexual children, right? This is the family structure as it's supposed to be. Right. It's supposed to replicate. Right. And kind of hold up this idea of an ideal citizen. But as we know, in queer communities, we grapple with these kind of conversations and questions about what are we replicating, right? Right. How are we divesting from these notions of, heteronormative ideas of power, and in our relationships, in the intimate space. This is not just about a political type of question.
That's right. That's right.
Political.
That's right.
But those things go hand in hand.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Another question I'd like to ask you is, as a Black woman living in this society, how, in your experience, can you give us even an example or two in your experience where you knew that the source of your struggle was your gender?
Well, I mean, I wanna take that question and kind of think of it from, the space that I'm a Black, queer, Indigenous woman. And so it's already a peculiar space.
Right.
It makes sense, right? Or it's not supposed to make sense.
Right.
And so just the notion of being one that I identify in that way, not just as an identity, but as a politics, right? Peculiar and queer as meaning non-normative, as being disruptive, right? As being affirmed at the same time in that identity.
That's right.
I think it's just my very existence is something that is about trying to counter these notions of normative ways of living, normative ways of being in the world. And so that makes it incredibly difficult when you have a society that's predicated on hierarchy, that's predicated on these patriarchal values of who's supposed to be in power, who's supposed to be the leader of social movements, whose voice is supposed to be heard, right? Who's supposed to be in the background. And I'm in a different type of conversation. I know that domain exists.
Right.
That it's perpetuated. I know that it's held up, but I'm interested in having the conversations with folks who are interested in the queer politics, meaning we're trying to disrupt some stuff, right?
Right.
We're trying to unsettle these ideas that we've inherited about who we say we are.
That's right.
And not only who we say we are in relationship to one another, but who we say we are in relationship to the land, right? In relationship to all the things that are currently going on. Like you can clearly see the deep imbalances and instability that's happening here. So, I'm putting a deep commitment, not only in my work and in my teaching, but in my partnership, in the relationships I'm building, with collective communities around, let's think about something otherwise. Let's think about something different.
That's right.
These have not worked for us.
These
things were not built for us, and instead of us trying to constantly fit or perform some kind of respectability in order to be included in something, which we were never included in. It's been time, and we see this time and again with queer folk, with trans folk. Folks have been building this type of space, this otherwise space.
Absolutely.
Let's rethink what it means, family, right? Let's rethink kin. Let's rethink our relationships. And so, that's kind of where I situate myself in relationship to my gender and how I want to move in the world.
Absolutely brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. Do you think it's necessary for us to even claim gender categories at all? In other words, is it empowering for me to even think of myself as a man, like in the ways we want to imagine a kind of absolute liberation? I'm not saying do we want differences in terms of biology, right? I think that's a given. We come that way. Do you feel like we still need the social categories of man, woman, bisexual, trans, all of that?
I'm a cisgender woman, meaning, I don't have the same experiences as other folks who have different gender identities, right? So I will say that I do think that there's a power in naming. There's a deep power in naming and a deep power in being able to claim yourself the way that you want to be claimed in the world. And so the question of whether or not, folks can identify in different genders or whether or not it means anything, it deeply means something still in the world that we currently live in. Things like rights, things like protection, things like care, health care, right? Who has access to certain things? All of those, are determined based on how legible you can make yourself to the state.
That's so good. That's
how much you can be
legible,
right? How much you can be understood.
Yeah.
And the further you are from that point of being understood or knowable, the more difficult it is, right? And so I see why people mobilize around rights, mobilize around certain identities in order to have access to things, because it matters, right? Things that we name ourselves have material implications.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And not just like, can we eat? It's like, can we turn the lights on in our house? Can we have shelter over our heads? But can we live? It's a depth of question of living and dying. Like, who is determined to be worthy of living, right? That's right. Who's already seen as disposable. So I hope that kind of gets at it, but
it does. In so many ways. Because I was thinking too about the violence of language. Right? And the ways in which Black women and Black women's bodies have been loaded, if you will, with the violence of a certain kind of language committed against Black women. See, some of the problem for me in this society is that we keep trying to rename ourselves, but all the names belong to somebody else. Right? In terms of the choices we have, right? And so it seems to me that we're gonna have to explore some other languages, even some of our own ancestral tongues, in order to name ourselves something that inherently inherently means liberation for us. So, violence against Black women's bodies and beings in language, terms like bitches and sluts and all of this. What do you think about people's argument that, very much like the term nigger, that women can reclaim the term bitch and we can be bitches together?
Well,
what do you think about it? It's a slippery slope, I know, but as a scholar, I'd love to know what you think.
You know what? I think that people are often concerned. I feel like the arguments that people make around whether or not a woman can decide to use that term in relationship to herself and other women, right?
Yes.
Is one of respectability too. Like
Okay.
that's deeply enmeshed in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the kinds of appropriate things that we can self-identify. Like, and this is not also to say that those words cannot be weaponized and have not been weaponized, right? Or have not been used to denigrate or to invite or seemingly legitimate violence on Black women.
Yes.
But I don't feel sometimes like folks are actually listening to Black women who are making the arguments that I get to say with full autonomy what I call myself, right? How I refer to myself. There's something in there that I think people are not quite listening to with the argument around, I get to decide what I call myself, what I refer to myself as. There's a power in that too. It's enmeshed in something else too. Like those two things can't be disentangled.
Right.
We simultaneously contradict ourselves all the time.
In
the path towards trying to find a different language of liberation and freedom for ourselves. We're constantly making and unmaking these same imaginaries in the kind of journey towards creating something new.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That notion of like, are people really listening? Is such a powerful, powerful, powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because, part of patriarchy and a part of white supremacy is the simultaneous dismissing, I think, of especially women's voices.
The erasure, the complete erasure, right?
Wow.
Down to legislation.
Wow.
I know better than you what you can do with your body and what's allowed for you.
Right.
It's very paternalistic, but it's deeply patriarchal, it's deeply violent, right? At the root of it.
Wow.
In order for that type of identity or that person, and I'm gonna call it as a white patriarchal type of position.
Ashe.
Right? In order for that to be enabled, something has to be denigrated, deeply denigrated, and pushed to the bottom, right? In order for that kind of assertion, that type of being to move in the world with such confidence to say, I get to speak for you. That's real deep.
That's deep.
To say that I not only know more than you, I can speak for you.
Speak for you. Wow.
And what's allowed for you.
Wow. That's a deep thing.
Yes.
To take charge even over a person's tongue.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't do anti-racist work or, try to do that work of working with how do we divest from whiteness with white folks. I think that's a particular type of work. I'm interested in the conversation of how do we divest whiteness in the spaces around communities, right? In the spaces of Black, Indigenous, POC, and the spaces of queer folk, and the spaces of folk. How is that showing up?
That's right.
Replicating that as well.
That's right. That's so brilliant. Because there are ways that we in our own community love whiteness.
Oof.
We love white things. We love white constructs of things. Come on.
It's true.
It is true.
But also it's like there's a capital attached to that. It's conditional and it's temporary.
Absolutely.
But it may get you somewhere.
It may,
just for a little bit.
That's right. It may have a little economic benefit for us.
Just like a little bit of a bread trail.
Wow.
To make you feel like you're moving somewhere.
Right. And I've been thinking about how we sell our gifts to white supremacy as Black people, right? Voluntarily, how we trade our excellence for white applause, right? For white encasement, right? It's like the ways in which we determine that some of our actions and some of our behavior would be found really beneficial to white folks in white spaces, and so we deliver ourselves to them in that way, though that isn't who I am. Right? Ways that we create a self that seemingly will be found marketable in a white supremacist marketplace.
Yes.
You know, even folks who like end up playing football, not because you love sports, right? And sports is perfectly fine, but not because you love sports, but because you love the money it will seemingly engender. It just costs your body in exchange.
Costs a lot.
Right? And then the ways in which we too, some of us, like yourself and myself and so many others, teach at these Black institutions, and there are all kinds of levels of sacrifices that get made. But we're clear that we're negotiating on behalf of hopefully healing a Black people and a Black community, right? At whatever cost.
You know, this comes up a lot, not only in what I try to write. So I always try to write from a space of truth. And that is, it's in full transparency, it's a sometimes a torturous space to be in, you know, to speak from a space of truth. Because there's a level of care that's required with how you say the truth.
Absolutely.
Right? How you deliver the truth.
Talking good, sister. You know? You're talking good.
And I feel sometimes like, you know, the spaces of truth telling, not only in the classroom and in the work that I'm trying to do, it comes with the cost.
Absolutely.
It comes with the cost, and you have to be willing to accept the cost in advance.
That's right. That's right.
You have to make peace with that.
That's right. You have to make peace.
You have to make peace with sometimes not being understood.
That's right.
In the things that you're trying to share.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you know, one thing I realized too, you know, I've been at Clark Atlanta 30 years now. And one of the things I realized about Black institutions is the issue is not the money, but we think it is. We think the issue is the money. The issue really isn't the money. The issue is our worldview. See, too many of us, we're at Black institutions, but the model we're using for both the way we feel about Black institutions and our hope for it is a Western European model. We want really white schools dipped in Blackness. But I'm saying this because in many instances over the years at Clark, I didn't necessarily need more money. I wanted more honor. I wanted more appreciation. I made the money work. We've been doing that.
Yes.
But I feel like if we were functioning out of an African asili, if you will, an African cultural matrix, right? We could have these institutions that are not nearly as financially endowed, but they are far, far more spiritually endowed and emotionally. Because see, if you can make a people feel honored and make a people feel respected and make a people feel wanted and make a people feel appreciated, the physical things don't even measure up to that.
See, you're talking about ethics, right? You're talking about ethics, and that, to me, the conversation of the ethics and how we care for one another is a necessary conversation. It is deeply political. It is messy.
Messy.
It's a messy conversation.
It is.
It is, because I feel sometimes in the conversation we replicate who gets to be in the center, right? In those conversations. And who is always on the margins of those conversations. Wow. You know, it is the folks, again, that are non-normative. It is the folks, again, that are the most vulnerable. And there's degrees of vulnerability that I think that we still need to grapple with in having inter-conversations around Blackness, right? Absolutely. That will then allow us to have a deeper understanding of how do we express care for one another? How do we show up for one another? How do
Right.
we advocate for one another? How do we know when to sit down and let other people speak?
Now you talking.
How do you know when we
Yeah.
really can get to that space of moving beyond our ego and needing to be in the center, right? Or needing to be in the space of whiteness, or how we enact white forms of leadership, then we'll get to a different type of question,
Wow.
a beautiful type of question.
Wow.
Okay, now what can we create? What
Yes.
can we create
Yes.
together?
Yes. 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 Let me ask you a different kind of question, a much more personal one. Share with us
These haven't been personal.
all of this is personal. All of this is personal. Share with us an experience you had as a little girl that shaped your consciousness as a woman.
That shaped my consciousness as a
It could have been a traumatic experience. It could have been a happy one. Just your experience as a girl.
Hmm.
And even something that perhaps happened to you because you're a girl.
Well, okay, so this is not, maybe it's not a moment, but it's something that my family modeled. And in my family, I grew up not with these very normative or gendered ideas of roles. My father, he cooked, did laundry. My siblings, we were all taught, like, this is what it means to be in community with one another.
Yes.
We are all here together.
Right.
And so we all do work together.
Yeah.
And this is how we show up and show love for one another. And so for me, when I began to see that that actually wasn't quite common, it was difficult for me to wrap my mind around that, because I had grown up with
I
a
see.
sense of what it meant to be a woman. It was whatever the hell you wanted to be, excuse me, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you wanted to be.
Absolutely.
And that was a gift that I didn't know that I had received as a child until I got older, and I realized that had allowed me to see things and to explore and to imagine in a different way without the constraints of what I perceived to be my Black womanhood, right?
Yeah.
Of what that was supposed to look like. And so I'm grateful. I'm deeply grateful for the environment that I grew up in. I'm deeply grateful for my parents. I'm deeply grateful for all of the women and the grandmothers, the great grandmothers in my family that are still very much alive. My great grandmother is going to be 102 this year.
Wow.
So, the strength and the roots
Yes, ma'am.
given me is such a blessing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Blessing.
Yes, ma'am. Has your general experience with other Black women, right, been one where you feel like other Black women have struggled with patriarchy as much as men, or do you feel like it happens differently?
Oh no, we all enmeshed in this. Nobody's getting out. Nobody's getting out of patriarchy unscathed, right? So yes, I think, in my relationships with other Black women in particular, there's been I would say frictions around sexuality, frictions around, the fact that I'm a queer woman, and being a queer woman, I don't really subscribe to certain ideas about, a man being in my life in order to validate my experience, right? Or my identity, or for me to feel complete or whole. And this is not to say that this is like the whole entirety, it's a bit of generalization. But I would say some of the friction emerged in those moments there. I will say too, that there's also been really deep conversations that I've had with women across the diaspora, right? That are troubling these kind of conversations of heteronormativity. Right? It's troubling the associations, these kind of natural associations between men and women, and what that means, right? What the roles are supposed to look like.
Like, give us an example.
So in my class, one of the things we talk about is looking at the experiences of Black women across the diaspora, right? And in my classroom, there's women from all over. And so just thinking about, well, what does it mean for Black women to be free? outside of the kinds of patriarchy, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean for me to actually construct the kinds of relationships, romantic or otherwise, with men or with women in the ways that recognize my wholeness? Like those are the types of conversations that have been quite healing. You know,
Mm.
those are the types of conversations where we're able to really see the way that everyone has been situated and in some ways reproduce patriarchy. And the work is unlearning those things.
Wow.
Work is creating a practice where we can be honest with one another, where we can share the truth with one another to create something different.
Ashe, 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 Ashe. Just a few other questions. First of all, I could talk to you for the next 3 hours.
I can too, but
I really could. Because I'm wondering now, what might you offer, right? If you had to stick your neck out, what might you offer as something liberative that Black women could do spiritually to break some of the bonds of the ways in which religion, regardless if it's Christianity, Islam, or whatever, have perpetuated, right, the imprisonment of women? What's something you feel like spiritually Black women could and should do to help free themselves spiritually?
Yeah. So, you know, I've read this text, I don't know how many times, and I always teach it. It's Audre Lorde's Uses of the Erotic. The erotic as power.
The erotic as power.
It's a short piece, you know, it's a few pages long.
Yeah, yeah, I know that.
It's a deep, mighty piece. And in this piece, she's writing from the position of being a Black lesbian woman, writer, thinker, poet, and is, you know, reclaiming the erotic. So the erotic beyond sex, though it can include that, beyond sexuality, though it can also include that too. But this deep, divine, sacred, feminine knowing that resides within us all, coming into conversation,
my God,
coming into meditative practice with that part of ourselves that only we know, right? As a daily type of knowing and remembering of who we are. That, I believe, is a spiritual type of practice that is so deeply sacred. And when I read this text, it blew my mind. I had to come back at it sideways a little bit. I had to pause. I had to sit in the silence around it.
Right.
It's one of those pieces that slowly unveils itself to you and slowly kind of reveals the depths of all of the wisdom that it has within it.
Magnificent.
And I feel like this kind of notion of the erotic, being able to reclaim the erotic for oneself, right? In the space of one's sex and sexuality, in the space of who we say we are, how we claim ourselves, it's about reclaiming our bodies. And for Black women, that is deeply important, to be able to reclaim our bodies from these imaginaries and these fantasies and these tropes and these stereotypes that we constantly have to navigate on a daily basis, that we constantly have to kind of shed when we come back into our home spaces, when we come back into our partnerships. Like, who do we say we are at the end of the day when all of those things are put aside?
I love this notion and your clarity in your teaching that the erotic can include the sexual, but it's not only that. Say a little more about that so that people are really clear about what you mean. Because the erotic mostly in this society tends to conjure, right, something physical or something in terms of sexual satisfaction. But say more, please.
Yes, and I mean, I'm riffing off of Lorde. So please, if y'all have the chance, and I can send this to you and you can share it with folks. If you have a chance to actually read the text, please do. I feel like when Audre Lorde is writing about the erotic, yes, she's talking about sex and sexuality, but it's not reduced to that. I feel oftentimes when we talk about intimacy and the sacred knowing, we often reduce it to kind of the realm of romance, right? Realm of sexual relationships with other people, something that we do in relationship to other people. Audre Lorde is saying that this is something you do with yourself, right? Wow. This is something, it's a communing with oneself, right?
With oneself. My God.
It is a communing that requires you to be disoriented. It requires you to question and interrogate all of the things that you say you are, right? All of the things that you've been socialized to believe about what it means to be a Black woman, right? And then when you get those things, when you peel back all of those projections, what is at the core, right? I believe, and for me in my practice, I believe it's a silence, but a silence that has depth, that has weight, that has wisdom, that has it's something that cannot be defined. And that's what I believe is so beautiful about the erotic. It defies definition,
Wow.
meaning it cannot be captured in the languages that we have created or we have inherited by white people, by
Right.
colonization, all these things.
Right.
Can't be captured. And if it can't be captured, right, then what else is that but liberation? What else is that but a different type of freedom than the ones that we have come to associate with, citizenship and rights and all these things? This is something that we can create and cultivate and nourish within ourselves. That is a powerful, powerful place to be in. When you no longer look outside of you for things to affirm you, right? For things to make you whole. But you remember that you are completely and entirely whole. You have always been whole. What more? Like that is divine power.
Divine.
Well, to say that you are made from divinity,
Woo.
you come from divinity, you are a vessel for divinity, that defies everything else completely.
My God. You know what's so powerful about what you're saying? I was just sitting here thinking of my own life. And what's so powerful, it's seriously, what's so powerful, Dr. Cordes, about what you're saying is, as a child growing up, no one ever suggested that I should touch myself.
Mm.
In fact, they said crude things like, don't play with it, No, very seriously. No one ever suggested, and I'm just talking about, just on the genitalia, but even my own body.
Yes.
Right. Which is why I remember so well, that place in Toni Morrison's Beloved, touch your hands, love your hands. And it seemed so simple. It seemed almost elementary. But what she was saying is people have touched us in every way except the divinely erotic.
Yes.
And so what does it mean for us to say, I am divine and I am holy, right? And when I think of myself,
yes,
I make myself excited. What does it mean to say that I am eternal? I am everlasting, and through the use of my own nomo, I speak, my own healing. And so what you're saying is, it's really profound, seriously, that the erotic includes the way you love yourself. And then, of course, it can be sexual, but it includes the way you love yourself, the self and the self.
Yes.
That's I have chills. That's really, really profound. And then what would it mean for two people to get together and to share erotic space that isn't sexual?
Mind blown, right? Just done. What I found so powerful about this piece too is she's saying to love yourself fiercely.
Fiercely.
Don't do it timidly.
Fiercely.
But fiercely. And be brave and courageous about it. Because that is your life's work.
That's your life's work.
That is your life's work.
And if America has its way, you're going to hate yourself.
Woo. Yes.
If America, you have to do it fiercely because you're doing it against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, you're doing it against the teaching. You're doing it against the stereotypes, right? Yeah. And there was and I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna take a risk here. There were ways I've never wanted to be a girl or never wanted to be a female, right? Never had that issue at all. But there were ways that there were pieces of my grandmother that I did want to embody because she was so awesome and she was so amazing. But she was also a woman, right? And I didn't know how to tease through how can I get that part of her that had even saved me. So when folk talked about saviors, my grandmother was the closest human thing I knew.
Yes.
Right. But since it couldn't be a woman, I started spending my life trying to figure out, right, who are the men, right? Let me go find the men, right? But that was an error. I didn't need to find the men. The Savior was in front of me, right?
You need to find the divine feminine in you.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the problem was for me as a man, divine and feminine were oxymorons. And they taught it to me that way. Yes. Why? Because any boy who had feminine was a sissy. See, there were all the terms. Yeah. Oh God, all the terms that signified a boy's willingness or even unwillingness to embrace anything feminine. It was always a degradation. It was always a degradation.
Yeah.
But I think it absolutely positively subtracted from so many young men's ability to be whole and complete.
Yeah. See, the work for all of us is how do we and I don't want to say how we bring ourselves back into wholeness, but how do we confront the truth that we've always been whole all along, and that we live in a world that has sought to dismember us.
That's
and
right.
does it so well.
That's right.
In a multiplicity of ways, it has taught us how to tear ourselves apart, even at the level of the body, at the level of the psyche.
That's right.
Of everything spiritual. But how do we remember that we've always been whole? And I believe what you just said is you're reclaiming that divine feminine within us, right? Absolutely. Regardless of what gender you occupy in the world, right?
That's right. That's right.
And
that's
just kind of trebling this notion that femininity equates with women and masculinity equates with man, right?
Right.
That women can be masculine, right? That men can be feminine. That's like, wow, when you can get to that space.
Absolutely. Y'all, hey, y'all out there in Facebook land, share. Please press share. This conversation is listen, this is going to set the people free. It's going to set the people free. So please take time and share. Please. We'll just be a few more minutes. Just two other questions, Dr. Cordes, and then I'm going to let you go. But you really have no idea how critical this is, how critically important this is. And I love that you study not only Black people and not only Black women, but indigenous women, period. Because see, this notion of patriarchy, this notion of racism, etc., it's killing everybody. It's absolutely killing absolutely everybody. It really is. And our freedom, our liberation is contingent upon our ability to see God as everybody, as anybody, as any possibility.
Yes.
You know, and even your talk about the erotic as sacred, the erotic as divine, the erotic as sacrosanct, is complete liberty. It really, 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 really is. It's complete liberty. Because there have been times when I was just chilling with a brother and just having a good time talking, and I wanted to just grab his hand, not because I was attracted to him, but because we were connected so much in the spirit, right? That I wanted to feel his vibration. Right? And I wanted us to connect a vibration. But in America, there's no masculine space wherein that can be done. Right, without a person being found questionable. And what it really helped me to see is then what that also means is most of us have never touched God.
We reject it every day.
We've never touched God because God's vibration is too strong. God's masculine energy, God's feminine energy, it would be so overwhelming that most of us like the idea of God more than we like the beingness or the personhood of God. Because God is not going to agree to the constructs, right, in order to walk with us.
No, absolutely not.
You know, and so I can't tell you how awesome. I just really cannot tell you.
This has fed me.
Thank you. Unbelievable. One last question I would like to ask you. What would you say, or what can you say to every Black woman, to every Black girl who's in this world and who's pressing their way forward, who is stepping over, trying their best to step beyond the limitations of gender, the limitations of sexuality, of patriarchy? What is it that you would love to say to get Black women another step or two down the road?
Oof. That is a big question. You can write.
Well, you're a big spirit.
You can write a book on that. You know, I would say to Black women and girls. And in this, I'm going to say that I would say to my child, my inner child self, that you have everything you already need in order to heal yourself. Nothing outside of you, nothing
I just taught
beyond you, but you have everything that you already need to heal yourself. And all is required of you is to be still enough to hear it. That is all. No matter what you are going through, no matter what situation, and also I would say that there is community that cares for you. There's community now that will protect you and will care for you and fight for you and listen to you and hear you. You do not need to absorb all the things that the world tells you you are. You are so far beyond that. You are a gift to this world. That is what I would say to Black girls and Black women.
Wow. Dr. Cordes, seriously, I want to bow before you to honor you. I honor the woman you are. I honor the God you are. I honor the spirit that you are. I honor the fact that you and I share blood. That we were given a blood. I'm using something from Dr. Handy from last Sunday, that you and I share a blood inheritance. Oof. That made us come into this place Black and the carriers of a kind of divinity that no one can take from us. In fact, people have hated us because they have yet to figure out how to destroy us. Oof. And that has been the aim, but it keeps failing. But in some ways, the blood is fighting for us in ways beyond what we can do for ourselves. So I'm glad to share blood with you, my sister.
Me too.
And it's an honor. It is just an absolute honor. Right? So Facebook land, listen, love yourself. Yeah. Love yourself. As sister told us, be still and get clear that every piece of healing you will ever need, God was brilliant enough to give it to you before the wound ever comes.
Yes.
My God.
And may I also just honor before I come off or close out, I would like to honor the women in my family in both of my lines.
Absolutely.
Can I say their names?
Please, absolutely.
So I'm the daughter of Cherry Cordes.
Ashe.
I am the daughter of Dorothy Lee Bradford.
Ashe.
I am the daughter of Olime Costella.
Ashe.
I am the daughter of Gloria Cordes.
Ashe.
I am the daughter of Eunice Emmanuel Macy.
Yes, Ashe.
I am the daughter of Maria Antonio Valenzuela.
Ashe.
I am the daughter of Luisa Mary Valenzuela.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe. Wow. Wow. My God. Thank you. Thank you. And every single one of us, we are the sons and daughters of a woman. So for every woman who carried every single one of us and hoped over us in her womb and touched the womb, praying that we would be even more than what she knew and what she would dream, might every mother know in your greatness and in your struggles, getting us here was enough. The blood will do the rest. We'll see y'all next week. Love everybody. Love on some woman. Bye, y'all. Take care.